What's going on, guys? Troy at Mountain Man Treasure here, and I bought a broken camera on purpose.
Mountain Man, Mountain Man.
Treasures.
Welcome into the channel, guys. My name is Troy. I'm a part-time reseller based out of Montana. I have a day job. I work at a radio station, and then when I get done there in the afternoon, I go into thrift stores. I go to estate sales. On the weekends, I go to garage sales when there's not a foot of snow on the ground. And I buy things that are priced low, and then I sell them for profit online at what is the fair market value for that particular item. Primarily, I do that on eBay. I've messed around a little bit on Poshmark. I've done Mercari, a little bit of Etsy, of course, some Facebook, the same things that other folks do. And recently, actually diving into Whatnot. So Whatnot is becoming a little bit more of a platform. We've had 2 auctions on there now. Both of them went pretty well. It was a lot of fun. So we'll be doing another one of those maybe this weekend. If you want to swing on by Whatnot and follow us, it's MTN_MAN on there. But that's here nor there. What we mostly do is sell on eBay. And when I went to the thrift store, I don't know, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago now, I finally kind of got around to listing some of the stuff that I picked up there. One of the things that I picked up was this camera, and you saw it there in the open. This is a Yashica. Is not maybe not a brand that you would think, hey, that's a good camera, right? It's not a Canon, it's not a Pentax, it's not one of the household names, right? But they make a very nice camera. This is a Yashica Electro 35. This first came out, this particular model, in, I believe, 1973. And this was, at the time, this was pretty advanced. It's got a range finder in the camera. I mean, it has the hot shoe on there to put the flash on. It's just a fantastic camera. You can do a lot with this thing. And so in working condition, these do still sell. Actually, SLR cameras, SLR single lens reflex, that is what you're looking through here, coming through the, we don't need to get into that. But the old big cameras, right? The 35 millimeters do sell. Some of the point and shoots actually sell. And so if you see them at garage sales, estate sales, look them up at least. I mean, it's no different than anything else. They've got the brand and the model number are going to be on there somewhere. So look them up, see, they might be worth something. And some of them are worth some money if they're broken even. Now, this camera will sell for, I think it's 100 plus if it's in working condition, and it sells very well. But I knew when I picked it up that this thing was broken. And how can I know that, right? How do I know without putting film in it, you can wind it, which I did, and then click the shutter. I'm going to put this up here so hopefully you can hear what it does, because it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So listen. Little click, right? It's supposed to go chick, chick. The shutter is going to go down and then back up. And we just got to chick. So how do you actually make the shutter go the rest of the way up? You wind it again. Listen. You start to wind it, and then that finishes it. So the shutter isn't firing correctly. Now, on top of that, cameras need to be completely sealed against the light. Light will ruin the film. And the back of this case, I don't know if you can see that. You can see it there, I think, on camera. When I push it in, can you see how it moves? There's a gap enough there that I'm not confident that this is completely sealed. It's not supposed to be that squishy. So there are automatically some issues with this camera, but I still bought it. Why did I still buy it? Well, these do sell for some money for parts or repair, but this particular camera, I bought this particular camera because this guy used it. That's right. This is Spider-Man's camera. Now, that's what I was going to kind of talk about a little bit on this video, is how when objects that are otherwise not necessarily worth a whole lot, or maybe worth a little bit, but only to a few people, how they become increased in value or increased in popularity when they're attached to people or things. Now, this camera is, well, here's under the mask. It's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. He was actually just in the latest. Spoiler alert, I guess. If you haven't seen it by now, you don't really care, right? So this was Andrew Garfield's camera in Spider-Man. And so people that collect cameras are going to want this camera because it's a good camera. People that, even if it's sitting on a display, right? They might have a display shelf of cameras. This is one that's a little bit iconic for folks into photography. Well, people that are going to buy it for parts to fix others, they also might buy this. People that could potentially fix this one, they might buy this. Or now you have people that actually really like Spider-Man might be collecting this because they want something that Spider-Man used. This was on screen and very easily identifiable as the Electro 35, this exact camera. So when I put it, here's the listing. So when I put it up there, I put all the other stuff that you would normally put, but also, hey, Spider-Man's camera, because people are going to search for something like that. And so you check another box, you check a whole nother box of people that might potentially be looking for this. And if they're a Spider-Man fan, if they're a Marvel fan in general, whatever, they don't want this to shoot with. They're not taking pictures. They want to put it up there with their Spider-Man collection and part of the display because it's just looking nice. So if it's a working camera, they're not going to spend potentially that much money on it. But if it's one like this, where essentially right now, this is a display piece, they might just spend money on it. For any of those that are curious, yes, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man also had a camera that was easily identifiable. Here you go right here. Tobey Maguire shot with a Canon F1. Now, the current iteration of Spider-Man, he uses a cell phone. I mean, I don't know if he's going to go old school and start getting back into the film photography. Maybe Spider-Man's done shooting analog. We'll see. But if he does pick up a 35 millimeter camera, guaranteed that's going to go up in popularity and up in value. So keep an eye out there. See if he picks up an old camera. Now, as I said, very often things are made more desirable or more valuable or both because they were on TV, because they were in movies, that sort of thing. And so I thought it might be interesting just to rattle off a couple of them that I thought of, top of my head. And again, I've told you before, but look down underneath in the comments because I want, if you know of something that would fit the bill for this, list it underneath because I think it's interesting. It's sort of cool to figure out the connections and why things are maybe more desirable. Or sometimes you look at it and go, why would somebody buy that? Why would they pay that much for it? Maybe there's a connection. Now, often that happens now because it's in a viral TikTok video or something, right? So for that, you just got to have your finger on the pulse of pop culture a little bit. But there are other things that are sort of standards. And one of those, at least for the last couple of years, this walkie-talkie right here, this walkie-talkie I've actually sold. This was in Stranger Things, and you can, again, very easily identify that this was the walkie-talkie that they used in Stranger Things. So when you list the walkie-talkie, again, list Stranger Things in the title. You always want to list the connection. You want to try and cover as much ground as you can with that title, get as much people, as much interest as you can. So include Stranger Things. Now, Stranger Things also had, I think it was a pink stereo radio that shot up in value. At least it did for some time because it was on the show. I think that one was a little valuable anyway, but it became more valuable. What are some others? Back to the Future. Back to the Future has a couple. The biggest one is his alarm clock. This one right here. This is the Panasonic alarm clock that you see in the beginning. Otherwise, it's just an alarm clock. It's just a normal vintage alarm clock, but because it's the Back to the Future alarm clock, now it sells for good money. People want it. Another thing that's not as common that you may not find, but I know people have found it out there, is the Back to the Future video camera. This is JVC, pretty recognizable, and so this will go for really good money if you can track this thing down. Now, TV shows, Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory made a cookie jar, a Batman cookie jar, very popular, and this thing sells for really good money. if you can track it down. Another cookie jar actually was on Friends. Monica had a Cookie Time cookie jar. Here it is right here. Not super common, but it's out there. So it would have been valuable anyway, but now you can attach Monica, you can attach Friends to this cookie jar. Now you increase your base, your potential customer base. So a couple of cookie jars out there. Roseanne has, I think a lot of people know, the Afghan. And it's a very particular, it's got the black part of it. It's always on the back of the couch. The Roseanne Afghan quilt crochet, use all the words because nobody, when they're searching for it, really knows what to type in. But the Roseanne Afghan, that thing sells for pretty good money, and people often find that one. Home Alone is another one where I have sold actually a piece of that movie, and again, it was non-working. I sold the Talk Boy. This is actually Home Alone 2, right, in New York. He's got the Talk Boy. I found this at an estate auction one time, and I had to have it. And I actually got it for a pretty decent price. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but I still sold it and made okay money because it was part of Home Alone 2, and that's why somebody bought it. Supernatural, for example, has a very big fan base. It went for, 15 seasons? Well, here's a character of the show. It's not a person, it's a car. This car, absolutely a part of the show and absolutely a character of the show. It's featured all the time. Now, are people going to get online and look up 1967 Chevrolet Impala SS? Maybe, right? Maybe if they're a car guy, if they're a car gal, they're going to look for that exact car. What if they're not? What if they're just Supernatural fans? What are they going to type? They're going to get online. They're going to get on eBay if they want to have that for their collection and type Supernatural car. That's what they're going to type. And they're going to find the 1967 Chevy Impala Sport Sedan. That's what they're going to find. So put those two together. Put Supernatural car in your title. Guaranteed it's going to help. Other things I mentioned, people, TikTok videos make things popular. People make things popular. Travis Scott started to like to wear vintage Nike hoodies, but they weren't, the big spell outs. It was vintage Nike hoodies with the little mini swoosh. Just a little mini swoosh. No big deal. Those sold anyway, right? It's vintage Nike. Of course, it still sells. But now it's Nike hoodie Travis Scott. Now, all the Travis Scott fans want to wear the same type of hoodies Travis Scott wearing. So that little mini swoosh thing definitely shot up in popularity because of him wearing it. That's it. He wears it. It becomes popular. Same thing happens with shoes. Same thing happens with hats, whatever it is. So keep an eye on that sort of thing. But it doesn't even have to be a current popular person, popular character. Magnum P.I., Tom Selleck himself. Magnum P.I. wore all the time the floral Hawaiian shirts, but he didn't wear just any floral Hawaiian shirt. He wore a brand that I believe it's made in Hawaii, and it's called Paradise Lost. That is the brand that he wore. And so when you sell a Paradise Lost Hawaiian shirt, you want to put in Paradise Lost, of course, and you want to put in Magnum P.I. And, with any of these listings, certainly with Magnum, it wouldn't hurt if you can actually find a screen grab, a shot of him wearing that particular design. I would include that in your listing. I've sold a Magnum P.I. shirt before. I'm pretty sure that in my listing, at the end, I took a screenshot of a scene that I found of him standing there with Higgins wearing the shirt that I had. It just connects it to that character, connects it to that show, and people are more apt to buy it. If you find this stuff, when you do comps, see, scroll down a little bit. See if there are people putting some sort of connection to a person, to a show, to a movie, because if it actually connects, it's something that you want to include in your listing as well. And that's the big thing today. Nothing deep, no deep dive into eBay. Just something that I stumbled across that I thought, this would be interesting to talk about. So I did want to actually mention we did get a little bit ago a question from a viewer, Rachel. Rachel asked really about shipping and was asking, "Hey, I know I can buy labels through PayPal. Can I buy through eBay? And if I buy through eBay, how do I determine how much? How do I determine which company to use, whether it's USPS or FedEx or UPS, that sort of thing?" And I will say that shipping is, I think, the most difficult part of selling online, not just eBay, but wherever. It's the most difficult part. It's the part that I think people most often get wrong, and the part where people most often lose money. And a little bit of that is just going to happen. You're going to have to pay for a couple of lessons initially, and then you'll learn, right? That's how we learn with this thing. Don't touch the hot stove. It's hot. Then you don't touch it again. But with shipping, yeah, Rachel, you can absolutely buy labels through eBay, and you should buy labels through eBay because you get a discount. You're getting a discount off of the price that anybody that walks up to the counter and buys it there, or if you just go online or what, you're getting a discount. So definitely buy it through eBay. And I would also recommend for newer sellers that they don't necessarily need to figure out how much to charge. I would suggest for new sellers, especially, to go with calculated shipping. And what that essentially means is you want to be sure you get in the weight. So weigh your item at the very least. If it's not a first class item, meaning under 15.9 ounces, you want to weigh that thing because the prices can really jump after that. So weigh it on a scale. You want to have a digital scale. Find out how much the thing weighs. And then depending on how much you're going to have to add to it for packing, if it's something fragile, you have to add a whole lot of packing material to it. You got to put it in a box, all of that. You want to figure in your box into that. So once you get a little bit better, you can sort of guesstimate. But initially, you might want to package it up. I don't do that with a lot of my stuff. The bigger stuff I do because I want to make sure that I get that right. So if it's something big and bulky, I'm going to list it and then probably box that thing right up so that I have exact measurements when I finish the listing. So I'll take pictures. I said that backwards. I'll take the pictures for it and then I'll box it up and then I'll do the listing because then at that point I have the measurements. You get where I was going with that. If you do have something big and bulky, Rachel and anybody else, I would recommend going through UPS probably. What you're going to see on eBay is they're going to show you the various rates for the various companies, the various carriers. And right now, UPS has been doing very, very well. They've been very competitive with larger packages and even sometimes that are just over that priority. It doesn't have to be a gigantic box. If it's over that 12 by 12 by 12 box, that cube that you get that rate from priority, if it's over that, UPS a lot of times is killing the Postal Service and FedEx on their rates. So I've been really happy with UPS service lately. So check them out for the bigger, bulkier things, but definitely weigh it. And then you're going to have to add weight for whatever packaging that you're going to add to it. And of course, that's going to change. And do calculated shipping. That means that wherever somebody lives, they're going to pay more or less depending on their location. So if you're shipping to Hawaii, they're going to pay a whole lot more than if you're shipping one state over. So they're footing the bill for the shipping, and you're not guessing how much to charge them. And then it ends up going to Guam, and you got to pay out the nose. I would take a look, by the way, I don't really have any shipping videos or anything like that, but I would take a look at Commonwealth Picker, Commonwealth Flipper. He's got some shipping videos on his channel, and it's sort of fun and educational, especially if you're new, to watch how he packs various items. That'll give you a really good idea about how to do that. So head on over there. Tell him that I sent you over. He's a good guy. I can't imagine if you're watching my channel that you weren't watching his first. But if you haven't checked out Kevin, go check him out. So that's what I got for you today, guys. I sure appreciate you coming to hang out with us. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you back here on Monday.